tonight because I don't have a 9 to 5 right now because I'm a federal employee and I'm furloughed. Park ranger, even though I don't look like it, I've been dressing kind of like a middle-aged punk these days, or like on me. But I'm going to tell you a story about my most shameful and embarrassing job experience, the least proud moment in my career, including when I was 16 years old and worked as a bank teller and tanked lots of people's mortgages because I didn't know what I was doing. Don't go to a bank on Saturday. Anyway, so right out of college, out of undergrad, I thought it was hot shit. I got a job as a museum director for 3 days. I got a job this time of the year, early October in Salem, Massachusetts, running a small house museum all about witch history. I got this job, I thought it was way cool, right? I walked up there, I had a new history undergraduate degree, I thought I knew everything about museums, I had interned in a couple and like had some summer jobs. I was going to go to this place, I was going to turn it around, I was going to make them do rigorous academic history, none of this sort of Halloween striped leggings witch stuff. And I got the job. They failed to sort of tell me because like nobody else applied. Everybody else could see the red flags. My boyfriend said, don't you think there's a reason that they gave you that job? My coworker for my internship said, you know, my sister's a museum director in Connecticut, and I would just think about the qualifications that you have for this job. So I was like, I'm going to show these people. My mom was like, honey, you don't have to do this. So I figured I'd show them. I like bought a new teacher museum person outfit. I had like lots of jewelry and like some sort of low high heels on my gigantic feet, which I couldn't really walk in because I had like been a summer park ranger. So I like went up there the first day and I sat in traffic getting into Salem in October for like an hour and a half. Showed up just a couple minutes after 9 o'clock, and the first thing they showed me was that the roof was caving in and leaking, and that all of their collections, which were stored in the attic, were underwater. They said, so you're going to have to replace the roof. Started to get a little bit of a pit of my stomach by the time I walked out of there at 5 o'clock that afternoon and drove back home, which at the time was my parents' house. The next morning I went in at 9 o'clock, I was on time this time, and I spent most of the day reading through resumes of new interns and tour guides, most of whose qualifications were that they had worked at Spooky World or Witches Books. And I started to get a little bit more nervous. They told me, just so you know, you probably want to hire a police detail for the last 2.5, 3 weeks of the month. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to be really scrappy, and I went home and I put on like an extra big bright piece of costume jewelry and earrings, and I went in the next day and I was ready to take charge and turn this museum around and make it awesome. And on the third day they said, all right, so just so you know, the other 2 people who did apply for this job, a couple of staff members are seeking restraining orders on them. So my little 21-year-old lower lip starts to quiver, and I sort of said, okay, I need to take a second outside. And so the pit in my stomach has grown into this gigantic knot, and I walked outside, and I walked around the gardens, around the tombstones, and the spooky spider webs in the trees, and I went back inside, and I like shuffled around, and I made some bullshit excuse like, oh, my grandma's in the hospital, I have to go. And I got in my car, and I drove home, and I drove down Route 3 so fast, I was going like 85 miles an hour, and I went to my parents' house, and I went in my room, and I locked the door, I slammed it shut, I went under the covers, and I called them and I said, I'm sorry, I can't do this job, I know you really want to leave the outgoing director, but I just can't do it, I'm sorry, bye. And I just really hoped that nobody would say, I told you so.